While things have happened this week in the legislature, nothing has happened on issues most important to Minnesotans. Republicans did not create a single job this week, and they did not do a single thing to solve the $5 billion budget deficit. Instead, they tried to distract all of you with a magic trick of a fake vote on a fake budget. However, that doesn't matter. The fundamental question remains, where is the Republicans' super secret, property tax increasing, all cuts budget? No theater and no illusions can cover the fact that the Republicans marched along the campaign trail saying that they could easily and painlessly cut billions of dollars from the state budget. And now they seem to be incapable of doing so. For the party of self-proclaimed tough choices, the Republicans seem to be having an incredibly difficult time making any choice at all.
Well, I'd like to offer a few comments about the week as well. And I do think there was a missed opportunity this week, because I think this week could have been a week of celebration. This week ought to have been a week where Minnesotans could see that their legislature was operating in a different way than many states across this country. We, in fact, have shown that Republicans and Democrats can come together on very critical and tough issues, work out our differences, and then work with the administration when the administration has concerns and differences, and come to an agreement. And we did that this week. We are proud to have been able to do that on both the environmental review bill and alternative licensure. So I was disappointed to see that at the end of the day, what the story was with regard to the governor's tax proposal. And in fact, we all know it wasn't even really the final tax proposal, which we've yet to see language on. And so there was rancor, and there were barbs thrown out between the two. And I'm going to continue as I speak to you here week after week when I have this opportunity, and point to what's possible, because I believe that's what people are looking for, that people are concerned with the divisive tone that is taking place not just in Minnesota, but in Wisconsin, around legislatures all over the country, and really all over the world. And so we have an opportunity to step back from that and continue to demand that we work together. So with regard to the upcoming budget and the targets, the thing that I think is missing from the conversation is, again, bipartisan work. When do the chairs come to the minority leads and say, this is what I'm thinking, what are you thinking? When does that work take place? Or does it take place after the fact and leave the minority party feeling as though they weren't part of the process? And how does that behavior line up with then being able to negotiate with the governor? Because I would assert that if, in fact, the Republicans and Democrats can come together during the legislative process, we will have a far easier time negotiating with the governor.
2 years ago and 4 years ago, did the DFL legislators have a budget proposed by early March?
No, I don't believe so.
Why are you asking the Republicans to have it now, then?
Actually, I don't think that anybody expects the Republicans to have a budget yet. I think what we'd like to see is we'd like to see the committee process be an open process where we begin to hear budget proposals. That's all.
I think your colleague, didn't you say that, where's the budget? So where was your budget 4 years ago and 2 years ago?
Well, 4 years and 2 years ago, I wasn't in this position, but what we've been asking for actually is what amount of money are they going to start with? And that, I think you've seen those reflected in the questions that we've asked on the House floor. What is the target number to start with? What's the number? They keep talking about what's available in the checkbook. So we want to know what number are they starting with?
I think they've said 32, now 33 billion, haven't they?
I believe some of the phrases that have come out of some of these press conferences is we may be open to revenue, we may be, so we've been hearing some conflicting. We just want to know what number we're going to start with.
And again, your caucuses don't plan to produce your own number, your own budget. Correct.
I think what, we will follow protocol in that the governor puts forward his budget. The majority caucus has the staff available to them to go through that analysis to put forward theirs. And again, we are available to work with the majority caucus, but it will be their opportunity to put forward their proposal, and then the work will begin.
Senator, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you voted against Senate DFL bills that raised income tax on the wealthy. Where do you stand on Governor Dayton's proposal as it now?
Well, I voted against those tax proposals in the past, but once I actually voted for that tax proposal. And I voted for that tax proposal a couple of years ago when we had a significant deficit, and I was an advocate for a different approach. I was standing up saying I thought we had to expand the base of the sales tax, but what we came to a compromise on was a fourth tier. And so I explained to my constituents that you don't always have what you think is the best solution before you, but it takes courage and you have to do what's right. And so I have taken that vote in the past, and it's been no secret where I stand on revenue. I've been an advocate for the 21st Century Tax Commission's report and significant tax reform. At the end of the day, I will only get to vote on what's before me, and I believe that we can't solve this budget deficit on an all-cuts approach. I believe it will have to be a balanced approach, and as most of you also know, I'm a strong advocate for reform. And here's another good news thing to talk about, which we often don't talk about, and that is we have a workshop that's going to be taking place next Friday. We spoke after One Minnesota about some interesting things that went on there. Our keynote speaker, Larry Keeley, is an expert in innovation and change management. We have invited him back. Senator Daley and myself worked in the Senate, and then we've got Representative McFarland, Representative Kahn, and others in the House working. We're going to all be together to actually spend 4 or 5 hours on an innovative approach to budgeting and to developing policy.
You said I don't believe we can solve this with an all-cuts budget approach. Does that mean you're open to an income tax increase this year?
As I said, I am for significant tax reform. If at the end of the day, I'll look at what's before me and I'll make a choice. So I'm open to everything.
And I would just actually argue that Tom Stinson has simply said that an all-cuts budget would be very hard on the economy.
Well, he said it would be marginally worse. I don't think he said it would be very hard. Is that right? Thanks, Tom.
What do you expect when you see the targets? What do you expect on next week, whatever day it is, Wednesday, Thursday? What do you expect to see in terms of where the reductions come from?
Well, I think it really depends on where that number starts, right? We know that the economy has improved. We're now at a $5 billion budget deficit instead of a 6.2, and it depends on whether they do the all-cuts budget or whether they've decided to add revenue someplace.
I think the thing we ought to be watching for is the old fee trick. A tax, and a fee, and what is a tax, what isn't a tax, what's an expenditure, what's revenue. We'll see.
Well, I would also say that state law actually still does define a fee as a tax in the statute.
So thank you for being here this morning.
Thank you.